All right, we're back for episode 12 of the Rehashables. Matt, how you doing, pal?
It's been a long time. I know you had a crazy but fun summer making
Yeah.
memories with the girls and with softball. So we haven't had a chance to watch as much as normal, but it's great to get back on here and talk some stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I watched a few things, but summer's been insane. School starts next week, so we're in that last stretch of summer where it feels like things are winding down. We're back doing back to school shopping, buying supplies, and wrapping things up. So it's bittersweet. Summer's over, but I always look forward to fall. Football season.
Summer was awesome, but it's good to get back into a routine. As you know,
You're telling me.
with the kids, even with our one daughter, it's just good to get back into a routine of things. It was a good summer because we got to watch the biggest movie of the year. Wow, yeah.
If you want to just jump into it, we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. And that's the type of movie that me and you would typically go see together.
Mhm.
But summer is, like we said, just so nuts that we ended up having to go separately. I went on at like 9:30 a week ago or something like that, which was great. Theater was freaking packed. It was like the second or third week of the movie being out. I went at 9:30 to a non-IMAX screen, and there's probably 30 other people in the movie theater, which I was surprised.
Did you doze off at all?
100%. I can't not fall asleep for like 5 minutes in the first half hour of a movie. Dude, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how much I want to see it. I mean, obviously I want to see this movie a lot, but like what's a movie that I want to see 10 times more? I would fall asleep for 5 minutes within the first half hour.
Yeah.
In the movie theater every single time.
I was wondering if you could compare two things, it would how many times you doze off versus how many times you went up to go to the bathroom. Probably like 2.5 would be the over under.
I did some planning to not drink too much, to not have to go to the bathroom. And it's only a 2-hour movie, so I made it through without going to the bathroom. But definitely fell asleep. Going to the bathroom is the thing for me as well. So hey, I'm just doing the best I can.
But good for us for getting to the movie theater. And this is a movie that I thought was awesome to see in the theater. It was fun. This was Deadpool's first time in the Marvel cinematic universe. What were your initial impressions of the movie?
I walked away really enjoying it. Like almost a little bit like Marvel is back. Marvel, I think, has been down since Avengers Endgame, maybe Spider-Man. What's the Spider-Man that came out after that?
No Way Home was really really good.
Things from there kind of went downhill, and I left that theater thinking, wow, Marvel is back. Felt like they had a ton of possibilities on where they could go from here now that Wolverine is in the cinematic universe, and like all the potential for bringing X-Men into the fold. It makes me think the future is bright. So I walked away from the theater very happy. How about yourself?
And the box office agrees with you. It made over $1 billion, and it's awesome that happened. I loved it for exactly what it was. I mean, I don't know if it was like a top 5 Marvel movie ever, but it was just awesome to be in the theater. I've seen the other 2 Deadpools. I think they're hilarious. And just to see the Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman chemistry. But one of my biggest concerns going into this movie was Logan. So Hugh Jackman's last time he played Wolverine, to me, is a top tier superhero movie, an unbelievable movie that had an ending to Wolverine's arc that was perfect. It was such a great movie. And I'm like, how are they going to bring him back? Because he died, like bringing him back. How are they going to bring him back? And within 30 seconds into the movie, they address it, and you realize that Wolverine is dead. That story did happen, and I thought that was funny and hilarious with the bye sequence with him fighting.
Which is a big deal. They brought him back exactly how you would expect him back. And then how they'll bring back probably a lot of people is just this multiverse stuff that they've been building for a few years now, which actually created some funny scenes. But I want to get to the opening credit scene, the bye scene. That was a pretty great scene to start out. I mean, I don't love that song, but it was funny in a Deadpool kind of way, the way he's dancing during the whole thing, and just some of the action scenes, the fight scenes, how gory it was. You kind of saw that and you're like, wow, this is Disney's first stab at Deadpool, and they're not holding back at all.
Yeah, and some of his jokes when he was playing with the Wolverine skeleton, and he was like, "Hey, mate," or whatever, he was like talking like Hugh Jackman's real voice. It was like there were some very laugh out loud moments. But then, once we're not going to get into the whole story. We're just going to talk about our highlights. When he had to go find the other Wolverines in the other universes, that was really cool. Like that was just cool to just see other different timelines, different universes. The one of him on X was really cool. That one sticks out to me.
What was the context around that one? Were there a bunch of skulls at his feet or something?
A bunch of skulls. I think it was the X-Men were all dead. Robot people probably killed them all.
That was interesting. I like the mini Hugh Jackman. That was weird and funny. I guess that's a thing. I don't know anything about comic books. Let me just say that. But the mini Wolverine is a thing. That was kind of a nod to the mini Wolverine. I like the Henry Cavill one.
Yes, that was
Because
great.
that guy looks like, if they were going to recast Wolverine, recast Hugh Jackman, I think Henry Cavill would have been a great Wolverine. I thought he would have been awesome.
Do you want to get into the cameo stuff first? Because there was some incredible cameos.
Cameo stuff is such a big part of the movie.
It was unbelievable. Unfortunately, some things were spoiled for me. I knew what was going to happen, but one of which I did not know was Chris Evans. And I was shocked when it made the twist for him as Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four and not Captain America. Because I'm like, God, when I first saw him, I was like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, Cap's back. I didn't want to see him as Cap. And then when he's like, I'm gonna say it, he's gonna say it, and then he rips it off, and he's Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four. I was like, that was awesome. I thought that was a really cool moment.
I cannot believe he was in that movie. Like, I guess of the surprise ones, I was surprised in a way that I never thought he'd be in another Marvel movie, to be honest with you. Like, I just thought that ship had sailed for him. I mean, there's a million ways they could bring him back as Captain America, which they probably will for the other Avengers movies somehow. But I would have bet $1 million that he wouldn't be in this movie. I thought Robert Downey Jr. had a better chance to be in this movie or any other Avenger but him. So when he came on and he was Johnny Storm, that was a pleasant surprise. And he had a decent sized role. He was on there the whole movie. He had more than a minute on screen.
The other cameos that were awesome, obviously, and the one that was most shocking to me was Wesley Snipes. My jaw dropped when Wesley Snipes came out as Blade.
Dude, he hasn't made a movie since freaking Demolition Man.
I think he got out of prison like not that long ago for like tax evasion, and now he's making some money back. That's a good return success story for him.
I was freaking blown away by him, but also equally blown away by Jennifer Garner playing Elektra. I mean, who would have thought freaking Blade and Elektra would be in
the voice? Yeah. And I love the line when what's the name of that ghost, the smoke monster, almost from Lost, in there, and he goes, Ryan Reynolds like, wait, Loki season 1 episode 5 or whatever. I don't know if you remember that line. It was like the fourth wall stuff that they were doing with him was just hilarious.
It is kind of funny.
And then Channing Tatum as Gambit.
It was awesome.
He was so good. The way he was talking was hilarious. And that
question about him: was he in another X-Men movie?
I don't think so. I think that was like a fan fiction. You never saw Doctor Strange, the Wanda one, or whatever. But John Krasinski was in that one as Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, and that was like a fan fiction thing that people have always said he should play him. Yeah. And I think they've always said Channing Tatum should play Gambit, and I think that's why he was that cameo.
Well, I'm ready for a Gambit movie after that. I don't know how interesting it could be, but his powers were really cool. His voice was interesting. He's a charismatic character to see on screen.
Well, they're rebooting X-Men, and X-Men's going to be coming back, so maybe he will. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about a cast for that.
How do they do that? You know, they bring Wolverine back. So they're in the universe where Wolverine is dead.
Logan's universe. This is where it gets weird.
Because if Deadpool is in the main MCU universe and he goes looking for Logan, who's dead in that universe, then all the X-Men characters that were involved in those movies are the X-Men characters in this universe. So I know I'm getting weeds. I can't imagine anyone's listening to this other than Mom, but we're at the point, what the hell are they going to do with the cast? And I don't know how they work it all out.
You can't look into the timeline. That's where it falls apart. If you really look into it, Logan actually took place in like 2029. And this movie took place in 2024. So, because they said that with the timeline. So it falls apart 100%. Like the doesn't make quite sense. But it was great. And to see, I forget her name, the little girl, X-23 or whatever.
X-23, yeah. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Were you
surprised on Jennifer Gardner?
Jennifer Gardner.
And Channing Tatum. I saw those two online.
Yeah. So her name's Daphne Keane in real life, but
that HBO show Dark something or whatever. She hasn't really had a chance yet.
But anyways, good to have her back, because she was like an emotional piece of that Logan movie that we were talking about. Kind of humanize them a little bit, and having her back was cool. She had a great part in the movies. The cameos were fun. Also in here was the Hulk. There was a Hulk cameo.
Yep.
So like really quick, Happy Hogan was there. John Favreau.
That was supposed to be. I heard that was supposed to be a conversation between him and Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark. He wasn't ready to come back yet, but obviously we might touch on it at the end. He's obviously has no problem coming back now.
Then did you realize? I guess I didn't realize this. I probably was sleeping during this part, but Matthew McConaughey was one of the Flash, like the universe jumps. Did you see that? I guess he played. They call him Cowboy Pool. It was a guy with a cowboy hat, and anyways,
was he wearing his Deadpool thing?
No,
No.
Nope, but they called him Cowboy Pool, I guess. There must be a
Okay.
reference to him in the comic world.
Okay.
A scene where they showed him.
Yep.
Lady Deadpool. Do you know who played Lady Deadpool?
I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but it had to be Blake Lively.
Taylor Swift. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, no way.
There was talk that
it was
her, but yeah, it was Blake Lively.
Yeah.
So I think that makes up all of the
cameos.
But yeah, dude, that's a lot of cameos. Big unexpected direction for a lot of those too.
Marvel's big thing now is introducing this concept called anchor beings. That there's one being in every single timeline that if that person dies, their timeline will end or something like that. And Logan was that anchor being in Deadpool's universe. And so him dying, he had to bring another Logan here, and that's the concept of the whole thing.
It was it was light on story.
Yes.
Like you said, you liked the movie for what it was, which was just a great action movie with some comedy. Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman doing their thing. That's all the things that I loved about it. Favorite thing about it was probably the story.
The stuff with the TVA, if no one's seen Loki, they don't know who those people are or what the TVA is or what it does. But it was good. You just gotta say, Hugh Jackman, man, he won the movie for me. I don't know how, and Ryan Reynolds joked about it, but like how they possibly ever can move on from this guy, because he is just, I just love Hugh Jackman and what he brings to this silly movie that actually carries emotional weight. His stuff is just incredible.
How old is he? Late 50s?
I think he's late 50s.
Late 50s. But yeah, guy's in great shape.
Insane shape.
I'm trying to think of another superhero movie character that is more like the actor is more aligned with the character. It's got to be him and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, right? Like who else is like, man, it's hard to remove them from each other, but he's definitely in that conversation for top 2 or 3 people. He is Wolverine, and it would be hard to recast him at this point.
It's interesting because he can go off and do other things and be very successful in everything he's in, but like the Wolf, you know what I mean, where like other people like Kit Harington, he can't ever let go of Jon Snow. I don't look at Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when I see him. I look at Wolverine as Hugh Jackman, if that makes any sense.
Totally. Or you look at Hugh Jackman as the greatest showman.
He's the Music Man from Broadway. He was so good. He was just really, really great in it. I thought that scene with all the Deadpools, as silly as it was, to Madonna's song, Like a Prayer, was an awesome scene. I thought when he put the comic book Wolverine, because that was the first time we saw that, which again should look so silly, but he makes it look so cool. If I wore that costume, people would be like, call the police. You know what I mean? Like, who is this weirdo? But he looks on it, and it's like he looks so damn cool, and his movement was really cool.
It's different. He's a different Wolverine.
So,
what were your thoughts on Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool as we wrap up this part?
So Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, the first Deadpool, I think is unbelievable. He's great, but it's definitely annoying after a while. I think
it's a lot.
Hugh Jackman, I'm more like him. If it wasn't him to balance it out, just stop talking. That's how I'm feeling in the audience. A
joke for everything, a break the fourth wall all the time.
It was a lot, but I'm happy for him. He was a co-writer of the movie, and he deserves it. So, and he made $1 billion and
highest grossing R movie ever.
Yeah, and hopefully, he's. I don't know if there'll be another Deadpool movie, but he's definitely going to have to be in the Avengers or a face of them. He's gonna have crossovers for sure.
Big part of the beginning of the movie was him talking about wanting to be on the Avengers. So if he's not in the Avengers movie as part of the Avengers or very adjacent to it, I'd be shocked. He's a big part of the MCU at this point. In my mind, I kind of thought that there'd be another Deadpool and Wolverine. I just assumed that there would be a Deadpool and Wolverine too. Didn't they allude to more adventures together? And that could be the Avengers movies, but they should make another one of these, right? It's a money-making machine. I don't see why they wouldn't.
He's Hugh Jackman. I mean, the guy's been doing it. They had that awesome end of the movie, the end credit stuff with the home videos of the behind-the-scenes stuff from X-Men from 20 years ago. I mean, he's playing
I grew up with those movies. They predate all the Avengers stuff, the whole MCU stuff, so those are really like childhood movies for me, at least teen years. I thought that was weird that they had them, because that isn't history that Disney had. Fox has been folded into Disney, at least the movie studio part of things. So it is Disney's footage at this point, but it is interesting to see like all these old footage that really isn't necessarily tied to Disney.
I guess you get the home videos.
But that was fun to see. It was great to see.
It was kind of emotional, I thought it was cool.
What did you think of the post-credit scene?
rough. I remember I stayed for it.
You were
Just can't even
sleeping. It
remember.
was basically Johnny Storm outlining
Oh, yes.
the way he wants to die and saying all this stuff. And
I
it was
didn't
like,
say
what?
that. It was
Yeah.
so funny. That was hilarious. Two quick things though. The villain was great. I thought she was
great.
awesome. She was
So
fantastic.
that is Professor X's
Sister, twin
variant,
sister.
twin sister
Yeah.
variant.
Yeah, he's tried to kill him in the womb.
So maybe he had success in the X-Men universe we saw, but that's who that was. She had a shaved head, and her powers were pretty tough. I'm surprised.
I thought she was really good, and then great to see Tom from Succession.
He just had an annoying character. Obviously, he was evil and stick out.
I thought that he had some funny lines. I'm happy for him, Matthew McFadden.
It is always funny to hear him talk in a British accent. All right, let's move on to the other thing that we watched. I feel like it's been a long time since I actually wrapped this up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Boys season 4. Is that what your other thing is that you want to talk about?
100%. Yeah, exactly. Wrapped up season 4, and it was an interesting season. It wasn't bad by any means. I still absolutely loved every episode. Exactly what I got what I expected from the boys. There were some really over the top moments that no other show could pull off. It was just so interesting that their strategy, and I hope they don't do it before the season started, reviews were coming out of like the whole season from like IGN or like even Barstool. And it really poured water on the season. People were saying it was very mediocre. I just don't understand why they released all 8 episodes for reviews before the season even started.
I started watching this season like 6 weeks into the season because of those reviews. Really tempered my hype level for the show. But I will say, and I didn't start watching it because I heard anything good about it. I just knew that I was going to get to it at some point, but it changed from being must see to like, I'll get to it when I can. And I got to it when I could. Once I started watching it, I freaking loved it. It wasn't my favorite season of The Boys, but The Boys is awesome. It's a freaking great, unique story, unique take on all these different superheroes. The special effects are great. Very distinct characters. Once I started watching it, I was back into it, and I did finish it fairly quickly after that. But it sounds like you're kind of in that
same spot. It would be the number one thing I'd watch. You know what I mean? And there was some like awesome, like really, really great like highlight moments. Homelander was phenomenal. I love. He's insane, and they're really setting it up. And from things I've read, the writer's strike hurt it a little bit. They have a clear ending point. The next season is the final season of The Boys.
Yeah.
Not necessarily The Boys universe, because with Gen V, and I'm sure they'll have other...
They're going to be doing spin-offs for days.
Spin-offs all over the place. There's going to be The Boys in different countries and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, overall, a really strong season. Out of the 4 seasons, I would say it's the weakest. Yeah. I think all of them are great. But I'm lining up for 2026 when the next season is going to come out.
Isn't that crazy? I don't want to rush it. I would probably rank it the last one too, but I thought it was insane. Homelander. Is there anyone scarier than Homelander?
No, I don't think on TV. You think of like the best villains in TV, like Gus Fring comes to mind. Ben Linus did some things that you're like, holy shit. But as far as fear goes, Homelander, like that scene when he went back to the lab.
Dude, unbelievable.
Well, very uncomfortable. Like you don't know what he could do at any second to kill someone.
And he always has a crazy look on his face. He has no remorse. He really could kill anyone. So the scene you're talking about is a scene where he went back to the lab, like you said, and he basically took out every single person there in like very gruesome, messed up ways. And guy's freaking crazy, and obviously next season will be like, I expect someone will take him out somehow. I probably have a pretty good idea how that works out, but they're doing a great job building towards it.
The only thing that bugs me a tiny bit about the show is I don't like how they incorporate like real world current things that are happening in the States now versus in the show. Like something happened on January 6th. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like you have your own like little universe. Yeah. Like they talk about, I'm making a donation to Black Lives Matter. And the guy who's supposed to be like the conservatives, like, don't do that. It's like, a lot of that stuff is embedded this season. The political stuff, which I thought was more like
the past
very much was, but this is really hitting it on the head. Yeah.
Last season, I felt like they stepped it up with the political commentary and they didn't let off the brakes at all. This year it was there was a ton of commentary on the state of affairs currently. But that's also how they moved the story forward too. So it wasn't just there to comment. A lot of it was very much part of the story. So are there any specific highlights for you of the season or new characters? What do you think about Sister Sage as a character? I thought she was kind of interesting.
I thought she was great. I thought she was really interesting. I thought she was funny when she had to get lobotomized to hook up with the Deep, and she was walking by Black Noir, the fake one, and he was like, "Wait, are we nothing anymore?" And the Deep's like, "Wait, you lobotomized her to be with," and she's like, "Wait, I didn't lobotomize her. She's like that."
He's so good, man. I mean, he's a weird ass character, but there's some great comedy with them. Some of the comedy they have in this show is just like ridiculous. It's probably the only show that can get away with some of the stuff that they do, some of the topics, some of the things they say. It's just like, what's the most messed up thing a writer can come up with to put into the show?
She was great. I thought she was a really good character. I'm glad, because what they've been doing the last few seasons is like they introduce like one new character like just for the season. Like that's, you know, it happened with the Nazi girl in season 2 and Soldier Boy, although he's coming back with the post-credit scene last season. I'm glad they're keeping Sister Sage and Firecracker around for the final season, because you finally get a chance to know more about them.
Were you bummed to see Victoria Newman?
I love Victoria Newman. She was great. I think we talked about, you know, this or whatever, but it's people that don't know is Victoria Newman and Huey, Jack Quaid, are dating in real life, which is hilarious.
If you follow their Instagram, you can see the behind the scenes stuff. It's funny to see them in real life. She took a big step forward this year. She's always been on the fringe a little bit. She participated just a little bit in the previous seasons, but she was like a main character, and her power. We found out during Gen V that it's the same thing as the main character from Gen V, but she has it honed in. And I always thought like she was, I don't want to say unstoppable, but she had like very good power that she would be in pretty good shape against most people outside of Homelander. So to think that Butcher and his superpowers killed her, I was surprised by that.
I was sad. You could just tell all season she was in over her head. She made a deal with the wrong people and kept trying to make it work, but just couldn't. And then Butcher, he's just gone full bad guy mode.
Butcher has a very specific thing that he's trying to accomplish. He obviously doesn't care about anything but that. It makes it hard. He really does come across as a villain a lot of times, but he's basically trying to avenge his dead wife and fulfill a promise he made to her.
Yeah, and the only other thing, it's going to sound like I'm more negative on it, but I really enjoyed the Ryan stuff this year. That Homelander's son, I thought that arc was really good. At the end, when they pushed him just a little bit too hard, he ends up killing that CIA agent. Grace. I forget her name.
Who's been in the show since the first season, I believe.
The very beginning.
Yeah, she was like, killed her.
Yeah, you know, because he was pushing her too much, and then it's hard for him now to come back from that. But hopefully he does. So I thought that stuff was really good. Those characters.
It ended with some of the Gen V people kidnapping the boys. So where they start off season 5 is going to be, who knows? But it should be interesting.
Believe there will be a Gen V season in between,
which will fill some of those gaps. That was one of the main characters of that show. Absolutely terrible.
I don't know what their plan is for that, but
I heard they weren't casting him.
The boy, I love that universe. They do a great job with it. They're setting up a lot of stuff because you got Maeve. Maeve is still out there for sure. Maeve tackled Soldier Boy out the window of season 3. Yep. They said she died in it, but she didn't die. She's off with her girlfriend doing her thing.
She'll make a return at some point.
A-Train's coming to the good side.
He might even be the unstoppable one, right?
He's stoppable.
Homelander laser him and then he's gone.
It's exactly like Invincible. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like that one episode where Homelander's could catch him in a second still. Yeah. Homelander could get him, I think, and he'd be gone. The boys got captured except
Butcher.
Butcher and what's her name? Starlight.
Yeah.
She could fly.
Yeah.
Which is a new.
It was a great season. I'm glad I watched it. It was something I was really looking forward to. For me, it was a
big setup for next season, and it's a great show. So, and Anthony Starr is just incredible as Homelander, and I hope he somehow gets nominated, but I hope he does.
When it's all said and done, he's another guy that's like a Jon Snow kind of guy. It's like, how can he be anybody but freaking Homelander?
Yeah, exactly.
But good for him. So anyway, good for him. It's a great role for him. Definitely career defining. All right, you want to move on to something else?
Yeah, I can go to my.
Why don't you go to your number 3?
And this is the other show that everyone's been talking about this summer, which I love and I think is fantastic. House of the Dragon is awesome. The finale,
People didn't love it,
you know,
right?
people didn't love it, but like I don't know, like Game of Thrones finales. If you already like season, the episodes 9 were always the big episodes, the Black Waters, the Battle of the Bastards, all that kind of stuff. And season, the final episode never like minus Winds of Winter or whatever.
Which was
those are all
one of the best.
Is it peak Game of Thrones? No, it's not peak Game of Thrones. Like
there was one episode earlier in the season that made it seem like it was Game of Thrones.
In what this show does so well is the dragon lore stuff. You get to know way more about the Targaryens' relationships with dragons. The size of these dragons are not even close to the same, and what they can do. And there was that one episode that was a dragon battle that was jaw-dropping how well done it was. It's really cool to see how the dragons choose their writers. So like that's so much different than Game of Thrones, and you know how this is going to end. What I like about this is 4 seasons. They've already come out and said it.
They already said
not going more than 4 seasons. There's another one. I feel like we'll be making this excuse for a while, but like did get hurt by the writer's strike and stuff.
Well, at this point, that's behind them, so hopefully they can pick up the quality.
It is all behind them. Yeah. But now they have a finish line, some great characters. My goal in life is to get you back on board before season 4.
I don't know if it's going to happen. If you watch 5 episodes of season 4 and it's like, dude, this is the best thing ever, maybe, probably not even. I don't know. It's so weird that I have no interest in watching it. I just don't.
Because you did love Game of Thrones. Like, if you take away the final season, you were the one that got me into Game of Thrones.
It was the last show that I can remember that everyone I knew would be like, oh, gotta go watch Game of Thrones. Don't text me for whatever time. Like, I'm watching Game of Thrones. Like, there's no shows like that.
And it's still probably the most popular show on TV, I feel like, this summer. Like, I feel like everybody was watching House of the Dragon. But
it was hard to not see stuff about it on social media. And different podcasts that I listen to, I mean, that have episodes dedicated to it. They'd rewatch it and break down every episode and all that stuff. I don't know, dude. I feel like I don't want to support HBO on this one. I know I'm making a principled decision.
Thank God. There was a time where I thought you were going to watch that Benioff and Weiss show on Netflix. If you did, I was ready. I had it written down, taped to my computer screen, just ready for you to bring up.
I do want to see that show. That's the thing, because I think the content of it is cool. You know, you're right, though. I haven't watched it yet.
But if Benioff...
Now I'll never watch that show, just so you know.
I know, exactly.
It was on my list, but I can't watch it.
It was worth it to bring it up in this moment, though, because they're the ones. And even if, like, what's his, you feel like Kit Harington just came out. I don't know if you saw an interview last week.
I saw it.
And he was like, I didn't like how it ended. They were freaking exhausted, which is HBO's fault. With management.
Dude,
I know.
I'm exhausted. All right, I got 3 freaking kids. Dude, you're so exhausted making $10 million an episode filming Game of Thrones. Give me a break, dude. All right, you're fine.
Jon Snow was a hard character to embody. You hated Jon Snow. You always hated Jon Snow.
Give me a break. Come on.
I think they're all making excuses for how it ended. They wanted to just end the show and move on, and you could tell how rushed it was. The pressure got to them, and it sucks that it'll go down in history as one of the
biggest misses, biggest disappointments.
We'll talk about that night battle, like how I couldn't see anything on my TV for the
dark.
First 45 minutes of that. I'm like, what is going on now? And if that is your reaction to a TV episode, that's probably not a good thing.
Dude, they were tired, man. They were freaking tired. They've been working hard. Cut them some slack.
Just too tired.
Couldn't hit the contrast filter on their freaking iPhones or whatever. I don't know, dude. Cut them some slack.
So that's my show that I watched. I know what you're going to be talking about. Probably the other most popular show of the summer.
Dude, I feel like I can most passionately speak about this one. So I watched Presumed Innocent. And you know what I'm talking about.
I've watched 1 episode so far. We are in.
Okay.
We will be watching it.
So
but
Presumed Innocent
not. Yeah.
is a Apple TV show, Apple Plus TV show, and Jake Gyllenhaal is the main character. It's more of a miniseries than a season of an actual TV show because it's based on a book. They made a Harrison Ford movie about it in the 80s. Every episode is a cliffhanger, and you wonder what's going on. It's courtroom drama, it's crime stuff, it's a whodunit thing, mystery, all that stuff. Since you haven't seen it, there's not much to say other than I highly recommend it if you like that sort of shows. It reminds me of, what's the one with Hugh Grant a couple years ago on HBO?
With Nicole Kidman.
And it was kind of like who did it in this case. And at the end, it actually ended up being Hugh Grant. But I didn't know how it was going to play itself out. And so I equate it to that, but I like Presumed Innocent better. And I think you're going to love it when you actually watch it.
Did I hear it got renewed for season 2?
I have not heard that. If it did, it wouldn't really make sense to me unless it became an anthology type show, which is very possible. They could just do new cases as presumed innocent. And
I think that genre is like the biggest can't miss like genre there is.
Yeah.
It's like the best, like, here are the characters in it. There's a dead body in the first episode. One of the main characters is accused of doing it. And then throughout the season, you're going to find out, you're going to watch one episode and be like, he definitely did it. You're going to watch the next episode and be like, no, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And it just carries you through the season. And it can't miss. You can't miss with that stuff.
And they had a great
and the
cast.
production quality. Yeah, I was going to say the production quality and the cast was outstanding.
Dude, Apple TV or Apple Plus, like, they have some of my favorite shows. If I had to think of my favorite streaming services, I mean, I think they might be number one. You know, so, and it's sad to say because that's not the case for a lot of people. I mean, everyone has Netflix.
I think they're losing money.
They're losing money. There was an article about how they're going to cut back on some of the shows that they do or how much money they spend on the shows, which is disappointing because Severance is like a top 10 favorite TV show for me ever. Silo is maybe like a top 20 favorite TV show for me. Foundation is good. There's a bunch of shows that I want to watch on there that at some point I will get to. And to think that stuff could potentially stop when they do such a nice job with the production and the cast.
Their biggest hit, though, you mentioned, was Ted Lasso. You know what I mean? Ted Lasso is probably the biggest, one of the biggest shows of the. And
they have that one with Seth Rogen, and they have one that just is coming out now with Vince Vaughn. I think it's called Bad Monkey.
Yeah, they got the morning show. The morning show. I mean, but they spend so much money on their cast, which is how they can't make money. But the morning show's coming back for a new season, which is so over the top ridiculous. It's a must watch for us. It's insane the concepts of the show, but
I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe at some point. But like, dude, that cast is unbelievable. And it's like every show they have has award-winning, top-notch quality actors and actresses in it. So this is just another one of those shows to add to their library.
And Jake Gyllenhaal's the man. You know what I mean? He's great.
I was talking to Tara about him. Like, he's
like Ryan Gosling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not quite Ryan Gosling, but he's like Ryan Gosling. I think Ryan Gosling is more talented, but he's got a great freaking filmography.
Yeah,
so.
Is his filmography better than Ryan Gosling's? You know
it probably
is. A lot of stuff.
I mean, back to Donnie Darko. Have you ever seen Nightcrawler, which was an incredible movie?
What was the one that was with Robert Downey Jr. and freaking
the murder one? David Fincher.
Yeah, he was the serial killer. Oh my god, I can't remember that, but it's gonna come.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, he was in that. He was in. You ever see Source Code?
Yes, I have. It's great, like a rewind Groundhog Day type movie.
Yeah. And just a million other things. Like, he really has been in a lot of things. Ryan Gosling is obviously a bigger movie star. Like, studios would hang their hat on a Ryan Gosling movie more than they would a Jake Gyllenhaal movie, but he is like a great actor with a great career.
So good for him. Yeah. And there's some other a lot of that guys.
Yeah.
In this, at least from what I've seen from the first
a lot of that guys
episode. A lot of that guys, including what's her name's husband from Handmaid's Tale. He becomes the DA. At least the first episode.
I love that guy from Handmaids. I forget his name. He's gaining some weight in this too, and he looks different. And his
voice is completely different in this
his
one
voice
too.
Is very
so
it is very annoying. He plays a great role. He's a great role. I love that guy. I'll always love that guy because of Handmaids.
So is on our we're watching it now. So getting through some things this week, but we'll be picking that back up. And that would what I'd say is that show won the summer. That's the show everyone
was talking about it. We'll have to spend 5 minutes on the end of it next time we do a pod.
Yeah.
So
done.
All right. Last thing. Don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but it was, I think, another big thing of the summer, which I very much enjoyed, was the Olympics. Did you watch any of the Olympics? Or what was your relationship with watching the Olympics this year?
Would be mostly just watch it at nighttime. Didn't watch really anything live. Didn't watch a ton, but my 3-year-old daughter loves Simone Biles. So we watched. We were very invested in the gymnastics stuff and would watch a lot of that. We've watched her floor routine 1,000 times in our living room over here. So we loved the gymnastics stuff. The swimming was awesome. Yeah. But the Olympics just did a great job, and I enjoyed watching it at nighttime because the human interest stories that they do with these like athletes and stuff is just no one else does it. It's so well done. And they did a great job.
Sports creates great drama, and great
Yep.
opportunities for people to step up and do something great. So yeah, those human interest pieces. Obviously we're fortunate in the United States. We have so many Olympians and so many people that are winning gold medals or competing for gold medals, and there's always people coming through and achieving something that no one thought they could achieve. And it's just like it happened in track and field, it happened in swimming, it happened in all kinds of different things. It was just like it's fun to. The thing about the Olympics, it's fun to see people have like the best day of their life over and over and over again for like 2 or 3 weeks. There's obviously some disappointment mixed in for different people, and that's fine. But like in general, like there's always someone having this amazing moment, setting some record, or winning unexpectedly. So that was fun. And the girls are into sports too, so like we were watching all the time. It really didn't even matter what it was. They like Simone Biles, but it could have been USA basketball. It could have been Katie Ledecky. It could have been, they actually really liked the sprinting races. Track and field was fun. All the different sprinters that we have, men, women, relay. It was just fun to watch all of those different things.
They did a great job. They did a fantastic job. I mean, I do have Peacock, and I did get to watch some of the quick clips. They did a really good job of making it easy to watch. And with the human interest stories, they did awesome. So it was great.
I think having it in Europe is the best case scenario for the time stuff. I'd come home from work, or we're home on a Saturday afternoon and we're watching stuff throughout the day live. We can also watch it at 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock where they're kind of piecing it all together. Anything that you might have missed. It'll be interesting to see how they do that in LA when it's the other way around. Like, I don't know if they shift the start time for a lot of things down 3 hours so they can happen during prime time for the East Coast. It seems like the East Coast designates everything, or dictates everything, I should say. For a lot of TV,
I hope so.
Aubrey wants to go to the Olympics in LA. I'm like, maybe it'd be kind of fun, but I'm sure it's super expensive.
That should be 16 by that point. A little sweet 16 birthday present.
It'd be fun. I would love to see the Olympics in LA. I think they're going to do a great job. I know they're obviously working hard at it right now, just the infrastructure and just kind of planning, but they're next up.
And then the other big thing for me was the basketball stuff, which I did watch the Serbia game and then the France game, and both were like specifically, both games were just like out of body experiences. The Steph Curry stuff in the championship game, I was watching it, it was game 4 of the Celtics finals a few years ago, all over, where he couldn't miss time. You're cheering for him. He could not miss, and it was an incredible thing to see.
Well, I had dinner plans at 5 that night. I think the game started at 3:30. I had missed like the fourth quarter basically. So I watched
you.
I watched up until the fourth quarter, and then I left. And that's when all of the magic with Steph Curry happened. Because Steph Curry, if you follow basketball or didn't follow basketball, he didn't have a great run in the Olympics. People thought he was kind of underutilized. LeBron would dominate, KD would dominate. There's plenty of talk about Tatum not playing, but like Steph Curry was just like a guy on the team. And he came through in that Serbia game, and then he really came through in that gold medal game. And Steph Curry he's got to be my favorite non-Celtic basketball player. He's absolutely incredible, and I'm so glad that he had that moment. He's just and he's an all-time great. So it was a great way to end probably his Olympic run. I imagine he won't be doing it in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, those three between LeBron, Durant, and him, you know what I mean? They really put a lot of miles on them here, and it was awesome. And they just got me fired up for basketball season.
Dude, totally. I know a lot of people try to compare everyone to the dream team. So if we don't beat everybody by 40 points, it's what does USA basketball become, and all this doom and gloom talk. But like, people have to remember that the NBA is more international than ever. And yes, Serbia had Jokic and a bunch of guys that are just okay, but like, it's different now. It's not, it's not like it was in 92. Honestly, 92 is probably why the league is so international at this point, and why the Olympics is such a competitive tournament. But like, I mean, I think those guys should be proud of winning gold medal game, because that was a hard fought battle, and those teams are good. France is good, man. Germany's good. And all these teams it's not cakewalk anymore. So I'm glad we pulled
it's a different style of basketball. You know what I mean? It's not, the international basketball is not the NBA. The games, I believe the games are shorter, right? Because
10-minute quarters, shorter 3-point line. Someone was commenting, it might have been Simmons, about how LeBron doesn't get the calls in Olympic basketball that he would get in NBA basketball. And I think what he was basically saying is the stars don't get the calls that they get in the NBA, that they don't get those same calls in Olympic basketball, which changes the flow of things and changes what they expect and how they play. I thought that was an interesting thing I hadn't thought of.
Awesome. Yes, it was great. Good for NBC. Great for the middle of the summer. and then you got football back in 2 weeks. So
we can talk about that next time. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff. A fun, last month of watching TV shows, movies, and some Olympics.
Awesome. Love it, bud. Well, great summer. Summer's coming winding down. Looking forward to getting back into a routine with you two and doing this more on a monthly basis.
Sounds
Trying
good.
to step up my watching stuff now.
It definitely motivates me to watch things, which is good. Dude, we're talking watching 3 things a month, a TV show and a movie, or, it's not that hard. So we'll make something happen in the next month or so.
For sure. 100%.
All right, bud. Talk.
Bye.
See you.